open and linked data in action. So you want to deliver impact through applications and tools. And again, you guys have given loads of examples of how you could potentially see this data being used. So we want to understand the problem and then prepare the data and the other inputs and resources that are needed, carry out some data modeling, evaluate if those outcomes or recommendations are as expected, maybe do some tweaking. There's obviously a cyclical or a iterative approach here, and then deploy that within our business environments. So one example that, like, this goes back to the traffic management that I was talking about kind of before. So again, this is just an article from a headline: car traffic volumes in Dublin close to pre-pandemic levels. So again, great. It's a wide reach information to the general consumer. And again, listen, we can see the traffic on our roads, but to have the data to back that up is very important. And this article was based on information published by the Central Statistics Office. So they publish it, I think it's a monthly transport bulletin that they have. And then they release this information at selected Dublin sites. Again, great, you can dig down in more detail. The raw data is there as well. So they have this graph, you can look at that, or you can dig down into that information. But like I said, if you wanted to go even deeper than that, so not just at selected Dublin sites, but at every single site across Dublin, 1,000 junctions on an hourly basis, then you can with the SCATS data as well. So here we're seeing kind of clear impact for the data at a real detailed level. So I've been focusing kind of on an Irish level to date. So just to give a little example from an international sphere as well. Energydata.info is the World Bank's open data portal. It's the most popular and reliable open data portal for energy data. It pulls it in from a number of different sources, especially geospatial sources, and a lot of the World Bank partners, organizations that they're working with, different project teams across the world. And it figures amongst the top 5 most visited websites globally in the energy sector. It provides a range of data pertaining to the energy sector, including like electricity transmission, distribution networks, energy access, power systems and utilities, renewable energy sources, etc. And you can imagine how such a site and how such information is becoming increasingly important and useful in terms of different climate change questions as well. And so this is a site that we developed for them originally, I think maybe in 2017, and we continue to work with them to build out and extend the data that's available. But also we develop a number of applications that use this data for really specific needs. So I guess this is coming full circle. At the very beginning of this presentation, I said, you know, if you present information via PDFs or maps or applications, that's great and all, but you need the underlying data. But it is great to present the information in ways that it can be used and for practitioners or for the general public as well. So with World Bank, we're using this raw open data to develop specific applications. And one such is the Climate Mineral Explorer. So it's very specific. I'm afraid I don't have an example of application from the banking sector, so bear with me here, I guess. So the Climate Mineral Explorer, it's an interactive tool that provides an overview of greenhouse gases emissions, as well as other environmental, social, and governance aspects of critical mineral supply chains from mine to clean energy technologies. And I'll just quickly demo it and give you an example of kind of what can be done with open data in terms of applications as well. So I'm going to stop sharing this screen, share my other screen. Share. Okay, so hopefully you can see the application here. So really what it does is for minerals, critical minerals, such as like looking at kind of non-carbon options like lithium, because with the increase in the demand for example, electric vehicles, the demand for lithium is increasing, I think 500-fold by 2050 is what is expected. So we want to look at different supply chains, how they currently are, and then how can we plan that? So not only looking at how things are at the moment, but looking at predictive analytics and looking into the future. Well, okay, if we want to make a decision or do some planning, what is the best in terms of reducing greenhouse gases as much as possible while providing the minerals, the vital minerals that are provided or that are required. So lithium, a key component for electric vehicles and so on. But lithium's production and transport has a carbon and environmental footprint, of course, that needs to be improved to ensure the mineral has a continued contribution to a low carbon future. So I'm just going to jump into the actual data snapshots here. So this gives kind of an overview of the world in terms of lithium and electric vehicle purchase. So if I click on, for example, Australia, we can see that Australia here on the right, I don't know if you can see my cursor, the Australia percentage of global production is 52%, and the percentage of global reserves is 28%. So Australia is actually a big provider of lithium. If we look at in comparison, for example, the United States, it only has 3.8% of the global reserves, and here in Chile, it has a huge percentage, 46%, Argentina as well. So that's where a lot of the lithium reserves are. And you can dig into any of the detail here in terms of the lithium production, lithium reserves, look at a country focus, look at overall. If you look at the, it was going too smoothly, eh? Can you still hear me okay? Okay, great. Back here. This was the button that killed it. Okay. The electric vehicle purchase. Yeah, so then we can see kind of where there's a demand for the percentage of vehicle sales and vehicle stock and so on. So you can explore basically kind of what's currently happening. Now, from a supply chain, we want to see, well, where is the lithium currently being produced? What is it being used for? So these are the different supply chains. So we, as Darlings, we don't do the actual data modeling because, again, we're not the domain experts, right? So we work with the teams, it could be universities or World Bank partners that have the domain expertise and actual data modeling. Then we build the application around that pulls into open data, carries out the analysis based on their models and displays the results as well. So here we can see the different supply chains that are currently there from Australia to China, more information on the right in terms of the extraction, processing, battery manufacturing, vehicle assembly. We could look at, for example, Chile to Japan would be another route. You dig in there, you can get kind of more information as well. So that's great. Again, you're looking at, okay, well, what's the current state of the art or the current practice? But what's important is that we want to be able to let people, like experts in the domain, practitioners, but this is a public application, so anyone can do that. If you have any interest in lithium supply chains, build out your own supply chain. So if you were going to build, okay, a new supply chain of the battery type lithium, say lithium extraction, we'll say, okay, if it's extracted from Chile. We look at the processing. Okay, we'll keep that in China. Battery manufacturing, we can say that maybe in Japan. And the vehicle assembly are in Germany. So there now you're kind of building out a supply chain, and then that will give you information on the actual emissions. Sorry, there should be, yeah. Then the details of that supply chain compared to different supply chains as well. And that will kind of reflect that. So this is how your one is, this is how existing ones are. You can compare and contrast. You can then play around with the different inputs and say, well, if I change this, would this improve the emissions or the footprint or whatever else as well. It also gives a high level of information around the different policies that are related. So if we look at mining, for example, then it will say in the key countries related to lithium mining, China, USA, Chile, Australia, what are the different kind of policies there, and more information on that as well. So again, it's just to kind of give more information around the domain and see what's happening, but allow you to play with the information so that you can make your own decisions around that as well. And I'm sure from your own perspectives, you're kind of thinking of, well, from the data that I've seen, from the data that I know we have, these are the kind of applications that we could build to help our own decision making. And I think somebody in the report back already mentioned around, you know, if we had a dashboard that did X, Y, and Z. But what's really important is that that underlying data is also available so that the process is repeatable. Somebody else can do that. They can test it as well. They can maybe say, oh, that's great, but actually I would like to tweak it and add in this factor or that factor, maybe the flooding information or the house price or the whatever else. Then they can build upon that as well. So you're really building something that's a reusable ecosystem around data, which is what you want from your strategy.